Hello, my dear gardening friends. The question about winter protection and how do I know that I need to protect my roses for winter is popping up on my channel more than once. So in this video I decided to address this question. Do I need winter protection? How do I know, and how much winter protection I need? And winter protection would depend on two major factors. The first factor is where we live, and the second factor is what type of rose we have. The factor number one. United States Department of Agriculture came up with this basic map, the plant's hardiness zone, to help gardeners and agriculturists navigate through the life of plants, to make sure that they know where plants will probably survive and where, in which area, plants will probably not. And the difference between a zone is 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So basically the main principle according to which zones are established is by the lowest average winter temperature in that area. And that can also be a negative to this system, because other characteristics are not included. For example, let's compare Zone 8, Great Britain, and Zone 8 somewhere in the inland of USA. So if we have Great Britain, Great Britain has beautiful soft winters thanks to the currents coming from the ocean. And then they have very low sun summers, very cloudy and rainy, of course. And then you have this mild climate of Great Britain with a lot of rain. And then you have Zone 8, somewhere inland USA, where you have dry, hot conditions. So the climate between these two parts of Zone 8 are so different. 99% of everything how people garden in those two spaces would be different, but they are again Zone 8. There are other classifications in different countries. I believe Great Britain has its own classification. Australia has its own classification, where other factors are being included. But for now, this USDA planting zone is the most centralized, I would say, the most developed plan. In 1960s, this map was being created for the first time, and then it went through cycle of changes because our climate is changing on the planet. Our climate is becoming warmer. So this map, every 5, 6, 10 years, is being revised, and additional, I would say, factors are added into this plan. So you might ask, how do I know in which zone do I garden? So in order to find out, it's very easy. For beginner gardeners, you plug in this address in your computer and you come into US Department of Agriculture website, where you have a beautiful maps. You can open different maps, local maps, or you can open the map of all USA in different clarity. So for example, here, if I want to look at my northeast USA where I garden, I open this map in good clarity, in good definition. And you can see that here we have coastal Connecticut, where I garden somewhere around here. And you can see this little small strip, which symbolizes Zone 7A. And literally, I live town, and Zone 6 begins. And when you go a little bit further north, you hit Zone 5. So local conditions, together with all other factors, make our reliance on planting zones, somewhat difficult. Plus there is extra pressure of very diverse local climates. Even around our houses, we have different microclimates. For example, here in my backyard area is very protected. There is no pressure of wind. Usually snow accumulates here, and my plants have a very good chance of surviving here. This is solid Zone 7 here in the back, but in the front, the pressure of the wind in winter is huge, is very strong, and my roses, some of them are struggling, so I started to introduce new roses into the front. So let's see this winter how they will do on that strong wind tunnel. Now the second major factor on which our protection of roses would depend is what type of rose we have. And people might say that they go to the local nursery and they would assume that local nurseries would sell plants hardy to in their area, which is true. But a lot of nurseries which sell you roses, they can put a label hardy to zone 5. But they don't specify, my mosquitoes are coming out, but they don't specify that zone 5 with protection. And I do say that there is a confusion about this, hardy to zone 5, when really rose is not really hardy to zone 5. It's 5, it's hardy with a protection, and it's not being said on the label. So usually hybrid teas, floribundas, grandiflores, and hybrid teas in pastel colors are famous for being tender and not really hardy. So you might say, so what do I do? Well, the good news is hybridizers who are hybridizing roses for colder climates, especially Canadian hybridizers. They have wonderful choices of roses which you can just plant and forget. You don't need any winter protection whatsoever. And here's a list of some of the beautiful roses you can choose from. Because the gardener has a choice. Are we going to labor in the garden trying to keep roses which Mother Nature doesn't want to keep and spend enormous amount of time trying to protect them, trying to heal them from damage and all that sorts of stuff, or just garden with plants which are good for your area and have very low maintenance as a result? There are 2 videos which I created recently about 5 mistakes of rosarians in preparing roses for winter. And I believe there is also a video of 5 mistakes of rose care in the fall. You're welcome to check those videos. I'm going to put a link in the description below. I address some major mistakes in those videos, and I think they would be very helpful for the beginner rosarian. So, my dear gardeners, I wish there would be a better answer to a simple question: do I need a rose protection for winter or not? There isn't. You have to consider so many different factors, but basic answer might be, if your rose is hardy, you can go all the way to zone 2. If your rose is not hardy, it might need protection up to zone 6 and down. So from 6, 5, 4, your rose would need protection. Of course, the best advice would be to go for hardy roses and not to worry at all about that rose whatsoever surviving the winter. So I hope this video was helpful. Please do subscribe, and I will see you next time in my garden.